All right, John, let's bring in Wyoming Republican Senator Cynthia Lummis. She was one of the lawmakers reportedly targeted. Welcome to you, Senator. President Trump putting on his Truth Social on this. Deranged Jack Smith got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. A real sleazebag, he wrote on Truth Social. Not mincing words, what say you?
Well, I would say President Trump is spot on. This was an effort by the Biden administration to violate the constitutional rights of United States senators. This is blatantly unlawful. There's a specific law, often referred to as Section 1984, that's used for violations of civil rights when they're conducted by the government. My civil rights were violated, as were the civil rights of other U.S. senators. This has to be investigated. I have in front of me the very memo that we found out about yesterday. And the names of the people who approved the surveillance of our senators are blocked out. I want to know who approved this. I want to know if Merrick Garland was involved, if Christopher Wray was involved. I want to know if the White House was involved. This is unconscionable. This is a violation of law. This is a violation of senators' constitutional rights. It must be addressed.
We should point out, Senator, that in addition to your name, Mike Kelly, Lindsey Graham, Bill Hagerty, Josh Hawley, Dan Sullivan, Tommy Tuberville, Ron Johnson, and Marsha Blackburn were also included on that list. The calls, we're told, were likely in reference to the vote to certify the 2020 election. I know that Dan Bongino, the deputy director of the FBI, has been briefing senators who were targeted. He told this to Fox News Digital, quote, "It's a disgrace that I have to stand on Capitol Hill and reveal this, that the FBI was once weaponized to track the private communications of U.S. lawmakers for political purposes. That era is over." I'm wondering, have you had a meeting with the deputy director? And if so, can you tell us what he told you?
You know, I have had a meeting with Deputy Director Dan Bongino. He called everyone in who you just named that was on that list, and they were shocked. We were all shocked. And in some cases, we can't figure out what sort of string the yarn has taken to pull us all together and why they would have chosen those of us who are on the list to be investigated, to be spied on. So it was interesting as senators were coming in the room and Dan Bongino was showing them the memo that I just showed you, their reaction was, "This is unspeakably unconstitutional. What is my name doing on this list?" And then thinking back to the time around January 6th, who did I talk to? And we were all in disbelief that the Biden administration would do this to Republican U.S. senators. All that we have in common that we can figure out is that we supported President Trump.
Senator, shock was the word that your colleague Ron Johnson from Wisconsin used earlier today on Fox Business. Listen.
It should shock, it should outrage every American. Quite honestly, by now, it should be obvious to every American that it's not the Republicans that are a threat to our democracy. It's President Obama, it's President Biden, it's the radical leftists that have served and support them.
So the FBI tells Fox that his team tracking the senators were able to see which phone numbers they called, Senator, the location the phone call originated, to your point a moment ago, and the location where it was received. What other information have you been given from the FBI about the tracking that occurred?
I only know what you just recited. And so more work has to be done, both by the FBI and the Department of Justice, as well as those of us who are on this list, to find out what were they after. They think we knew something that they didn't want us to know about the 2020 election. I mean, obviously your mind goes in a variety of different directions, but it all leads to one place. What Ron Johnson said is right. It is the Democrats who are now accusing Republicans of being insurrectionists and garbage and using terminology for us. They were deploying the very techniques they're accusing us of doing.
If I could ask you just one quick question before we go. At this morning's hearing, Senator Grassley was chairing. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana said, wait a second, we've got to have a hearing into this. Grassley, who we'll be speaking with in our next hour, seemed to indicate that he didn't have enough information to call a hearing. How quickly do you think that he should get this matter before Congress?
Well, I think we do need to give the FBI more time to investigate who these people are, who approved this, and if there are other names on this list. It is kind of a hodgepodge of names on this list. Were there other senators whose phone records were sought and given to the FBI? Why? All of this remains unknown. So I do think we need to give the FBI some space to further investigate this. That said, I'm looking at and exploring my options as a specific senator whose rights have been violated.
Can you give us an example of that, where you might go with this?
Well, you look at the law and the violation of rights. Perhaps those senators involved have their own cause of action against the Biden FBI and the individuals in charge of the FBI. Could they be held liable criminally, civilly? We need to explore all those options.
All right. Well, this is a big onion, and it's going to get peeled back layer by layer, I'm sure. Senator, good to have you on the program for the first time. Really appreciate seeing you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Sandra.
All right.